irradiate your pet, giving your pet extra radiation damage for every time it attacks. The idea of this build is, well, we'll get to it, but for now, let's just of course, put 3 points into Persistent Hunter. Now, for the remaining 2 points, you could put 1 point here in Ferocity, and then you could put 1 here for Go for the Eyes. What that does is the first attack your pet does is always a crit. It boosts what, by like 15%, 15% more crit damage. But I generally don't really put it in Ferocity. I'm actually going to put the other point here. Sorry, I don't put it. Sorry, Go for the Eyes is what I meant to say. So I'm going to put the extra point in Ferocity. Boom. Making us move on to the next tier right here. In tier 2, we have 2 points, 2 skills that we want to max out. And we're going to go put 5 points in Who Rescue Who. What this does is every time your pet deals damage, Flak gains health regen. Every time you deal damage, you heal your pet based off of 5% of the damage you've dealt. Very excellent skill, adds a little bit more survivability. And for the next point, we have the next skill. We have here. I keep mixing up my words and then slurring. The next skill we have here is Frenzy. We're going to dive max points into that. Essentially works the same way as Ferocity, except it's when your pet does damage. That Flak and the pet just gain stronger for every stacks. Is like for every stacks, you start getting stacks. Frenzy. And for every stack, you gain 4% more damage. You and your pet. Max stacks is 10. For the next point here in tier 3, we're going to add a Psycho Head on a Stick. Now we have it here for the extra pet damage, a little bit extra DPS here for the pet, and it does increase your pet movement speed, making it move faster. Get to the enemies faster where it needs to go. That way it distracts more enemies. So to prevent you from getting damage even more than what you should. Flak is extremely fragile, I would say, and doesn't really have much survivability aside from this build itself. And honestly, I play this build because I want to play a Beastmaster. I enjoy having a pet alongside me, and it's very fun, I would say. The next skill we're going to invest into over here is Barbaric Yelp. It's a very excellent skill. At max, what it does is that it would essentially triple your pet bonuses. That give you an example right here. The guard Skag over here, pet bonus, as you see on the left side, is that it would give Flak a damage boost of 5%. Now with the Barbaric Yelp, what that does is that it would triple the bonus. So now you would have 15% more damage as long as the pet is out and about and alive. I want to say you still get the bonus when the pet is down. Don't quote me on that. But if the pet dies or it's like out and there is a cooldown, 1 minute cooldown for the pet to respawn, if that happens, you do not get the bonus of your pet. Your pet has to be on the field, active in some way, shape, or form. The next skill we're going to invest in, and the last skill we're going to invest in, is Pack Tactics. What that does is it increases the max health of you and your pet by 15%, and increases the damage of you and your pet by 21%. We go in there for the extra damage, honestly, but the extra 15% health isn't too shabby. I would say maybe slightly give you a boost in surviving some things, but essentially your Who Rescue Who is gonna do that. As long as your pet's dealing damage, you're healing. As long as you're helping, it lets you survive certain dots as well, and etc. All things. And that's all for the blue master skill tree right here. Then we're gonna move on to the main essential skill tree, the Hunter skill tree, which is red or orange or something. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna put 5, we're gonna max out over here Interplanetary Stalker. This is an excellent skill, and I would say like every Flak build does run this skill. What this does, it's a hunter skill, kill skill. and basically it stacks up to 3 times. Every time you kill an enemy, each stack will give you a bonus of 10% of damage. Your pet gets a bonus damage of 5%, and also depending on the type of enemy that was killed, you get a bonus when facing them. Like say right here on the right side it says a robot bonus, you gain 7.5% corrosion damage per stack. Against humans you gain extra action skill damage, and if you're fighting against beasts you gain extra movement speed. Pretty good all around, pretty great everything else. Next skill we're going to max out here is Leave No Trace. This is a very good skill for well, just for DPS in general. What this does is every time you score a critical hit, there's a 36% chance that you would get refunded a bullet back. And this would work well with the weapons that we are using, which I would get to after we're done investing the remaining points here. But 36% chance of adding a bullet back to your magazine, straight back into your magazine, giving you less time to reload, more time to be shooting, rooting, tooting, shooting, kaplooping, something, rooty tooty, point and shooty. But yeah. The next skill, we're gonna go down one here. We're going head count. This is one of the skills that makes the whole tree work, or the whole build I should say, work and function as smooth as it should. We're obviously gonna put 3 points into this bad boy right here. Head count, what this does, you score a crit, there's a 30% chance that you'll reduce the action skill cooldown time by 2 seconds. Very good. The idea is that you do want your gamma bursts as often as possible, out as often as possible. You know, you gotta have it active at all times. This skill will help you do that. Next skill we're gonna invest here is Hunter's Eye. I put 5 out of 5 in my build. Some people will argue it's not worth putting 5 out of 5. I sometimes agree, and you only need to put 4 to continue on to make it to the bottom, honestly. And what this skill entails is depending on the type of enemy you're facing, you're gonna get certain bonuses. So excuse me. So what that means is facing a human enemy, you're going to gain 15% extra crit damage. You're facing an armored robots, you're going to gain 30% more armored damage towards them. And if you're facing against beasts, you get damage reduction, and that's very excellent, honestly. Next skill, moving on right here, we are not going to invest in Two Fang because of the weapons we're using. Two Fang is a very excellent skill if you're using single projectile weapons, as it would potentially just double your damage output. If you do max out this skill, it is a 25% chance to fire an extra projectile, and it's very excellent when you're using single projectile weapons. But we are mostly using multi-pellet weapons here, and we'll get right to the weapons of course after this. But we're gonna skip this skill, not necessary in our build. Next skills that we are going to invest in is both of these right here. We got Big Game, which increases Flak's hunter skills proficiency, I guess. I don't even know if I used that word right, but yeah, I don't even know if that was the word I was reaching for, honestly. I just said it, it just flipped out of my tongue like that. But what this skill does is increases your hunter skill duration. It essentially doubles the duration of all your hunter skills, and that also includes hunter kill skills as well, and increases their effectiveness by 30%, which is very excellent. You have your interplanetary stalker that gets increased. You also have in your green tree frenzy, of course. It doubles the duration of your stacks, 8 seconds, and the efficiency of it as well, and you know, stuff like that. Keep a lookout for hunter skills and hunter kill skills like frenzy and psycho head on stick, you know, stuff like that. It would increase, it would boost it up and all that jazz, and it's a very excellent skill. And then the next one which of course it is a hunter kill skill called the most dangerous game. This is an excellent kill skill, and I would always recommend maxing this bad boy out right here. Why? Because upon killing a badass or a stronger enemy, like a named enemy or boss or etc. like that, you're gonna gain the following bonuses. You get gun damage, critical hit damage, handling, pet gets stronger, and the duration by itself lasts 2 minutes 120 seconds. It's very good, but paired up with, of course, big game, it would boost this up. The duration increases to 4 minutes. You have 4 minutes of this bad boy boost. Of course, it increases the efficiency of the skill as well, and it's very excellent to play around with. I mean, honestly, the only thing making this skill not as good is possibly the fact that you have to kill a badass or a named enemy or a boss, but I mean, you do see an abundance of those, but the moment you kill that sweet boy, whew, flying off your damage output. The next skill we're going to throw in here is Galactic Showdown, just a measly 1 point. Gives you plus 15% crit damage, but the idea is that enemies are less likely to attack flak. And I mean, I said the idea is like that's the main important factor, because 15% crit damage is still good, especially for a 1 point skill. But you want all the aggro away from you. You don't want anyone shooting you. You want them to go for your pet. That's the whole build here. So we're gonna put that 1 point in Galactic Showdown, and then the remaining 2 points needed to hit the capstone of the Hunter tree. I slap it on here in Grim Harvest. Put the nice 2 points right here in Grim Harvest. It doesn't really do much, and I might change that later maybe, but I'm not too sure where I would want to put those 2 points in this tree, because, you know, I don't really find the other skills as useful. But we're going to slap the 2 points here in Grim Harvest. It gives you a little slight gun damage, your active skill damage is increased, and your pet does slightly more damage. It's alright. Maybe, I wouldn't even max it out, honestly, but we don't have anywhere else to put these points. Moving on, we're going to hit this capstone, the other skill that makes this whole build function smoothly, Gammavore. And I'm sure you've seen it. They call the build Gammavore, as I recently found out. And essentially what Gammavore does is every time you shoot an enemy, there is a 20% chance that it would be a critical hit. And works in tangent with head count, you know, and leave no trace. And you of course deal more damage, obviously, because it is a crit. And all that smooth jazz. Now we're going to go straight for the augments for your Gamma Burst. The main go-to augment, of course, is Empathetic Rage. This boosts your damage. You want to have as much damage as possible with flak with this build, especially with this build, because your damage, you trade off damage output for survivability with this build. And if you want to deal extreme damage out the wahoo, I recommend honestly going green, red, fade away or rack attack as both. I would say maybe rack attack, but I know for sure fade away deals way more damage than this build. The second augment we're gonna go for, honestly, you could swap between these two. They both have their benefits, endurance and burst aid. What endurance does is every time flag or the pet kills an enemy, it adds more duration to your action skill, the Gamma Burst, making your pet, stay longer as such, which is good for because of our class mod that we're using, and because of our weaponry as well. The longer Gamma Burst is active, the longer we have more bonuses to us. And then the second one you can swap out, of course, is like I said, Burst Aid. Very good for even better as well if you're playing with friends. as it would your Gamma Burst now is a healing circle. The range is good. The range is fairly good, and it heals anyone, any allies, I should say, including yourself in this circle. If you want to heal some more, but for now, I put in endurance. Test them out, see which one you like more. But I'm just gonna put in endurance now for our pet. There's two pets that I found really useful with this build. The first one is Spider Ant Scorcher. It gives you health regen. Remember, the bonuses are triple. I don't know why it's not showing. Maybe if I go in and out of it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So now the bonuses are tripled, as you can see. It gives you health regen of max health per second, and elemental damage, which you're going to be dealing a lot of radiation damage. But essentially, you want the passive health regen for this guy, though the extra elemental damage does keep your damage up, of course, compared to the other variants of the Spider Ant. It will help you survive dots and go down to random dots and damage over time. You don't go down to random stuff like that, and etc. Gives you more, just slightly more durability and survivability, of course. But I would say, personally, the go-to pet for this build is, in fact, the Great Horned Skag. As you can see, with the triple bonuses of Barbaric Yelp, you're going to gain damage plus 15% and gun damage plus 30%. Gotta add as much damage as possible with Flak. Although you can survive long, you also want to deal as much damage as possible. Clear out enemies off the field, so you of course can survive even longer. I'm just gonna equip the great horn Skag right here, and now to our weaponry, our guns, our go-to equipment that we're gonna use, our bad boys. I pressed the wrong button. Bloop. Here we go. This is a Jacob's build. And honestly, the reason why I went with the Jacob's build, I'm going to start right here, is because the class mod, the go-to class mod for this build is the Pharaoh Prideful Red Fang. As you can see, the bonuses for this class mod increases Jacob's amazingly. I got a fairly decent roll on this. I have 51% Jacob's weapon critical hit damage. I got Jacob's weapon damage. And I got a bonus COV weapon accuracy. I don't really use COV guns in this build, or in most builds that I do, honestly. But it's there. It's just there. But we already saw what skills it increases and by how much, and it's fairly useful. Actually, I didn't even talk about, as I accidentally pressed more wrong buttons, I didn't even talk about the one skill that increases here. Is it's pretty minimal, honestly, but when Flex Pet takes damage, just reflects damage of 5% based on one skill. That's based off of the class mod. I did not invest any points into this, as I don't think it would really add much DPS to it, and there's better areas where you can spread your points, I would say. And I'm sure I talk about Eager to Impress. You get kills, it reduces your cooldown. Your pet gets kills, it reduces the cooldown by double the amount that you would. And the last one, of course, is Ferocity, just extra pet damage, etc. Didn't press the wrong button that time, I'm glad. But for our guns, it is Jacob's, of course, because of class mod gave us big bonuses. So I am using a pure Jacob's loadout here. Some of these guns are DLC, so some of the equipments, I should say, are DLC 2 related. The second DLC with the Hammerlock wedding. Our first guns that I'm going to show here is the dual Maggies setup. Essentially, we have one Maggie for when Gamma Burst is active. Your Gamma Burst anointments gives you bonus 115% radiation damage. This is very excellent, just adds more to your DPS. The Maggies are very good pistols, very quick, shoots fast, low reload time. Because of our setup, you're going to be shooting more bullets than what the magazine size details, because you're going to get refunded bullets back and all that good jazz. The other Maggie it's an action skill and anoint, increase weapon damage by 100% for a short time. Once your action skill ends, This is going to be helpful for because of how quick the Maggie is. It's going to be helpful for trying to refill your gamma burst back the cooldown. I forgot to mention this, but I should say that it's man, I forgot what I was gonna say, honestly. This is what happens when I wing it and I don't have a script, but something along the lines with each pellet. There we go. Yeah, so each pellet does count towards I believe, I want to say this is accurate, but each pellet does in fact count towards keep pressing the wrong button, counts towards head count and Gammavore. You know what I mean? So like each pellet has a chance to crit with Gammavore. Each pellet does trigger head count as well. It can trigger head count as well. So this is why we're using a multi-pellet spread, and Two Fang isn't really good with multi-pellets because it doesn't really increase your DPS by much, by a fifth, as it just adds, or not by a fifth, but it just adds an extra pellet to your already multi-pellet spread. If it was, if we were using more single pellet projectile guns, then Two Fang would be a go-to, but we're not in this build. But that's the whole purpose for the Maggies: quick, fast shooting, fanning that hammer. Next gun is DLC 2. We have the Unseen Threat. Very high damaging, probably our only Jacobs that we have that is single projectile, but what this does essentially is the Unseen Threat. It is an action skill, and what this does, when you score a crit, the crits shoot ricochets 3 bullets at nearby enemies. I want to say this is the ricochet bullets can target the same enemy that you just fired at. So that's fairly good. Of course, you're going to be critting a lot with this build, so you're going to see a lot of bullets, a lot of ricochet bullets going on and happening. It's a very excellent gun. If you do manage to kill an enemy with a crit with this, it makes you unseen to the other enemies, but you don't really proc this as often as you would think. But the main go-to here is that it's high damaging, 3 bullets ricocheting, very good for mobbing in general. You know, the good stuff, the good Jacobs standard stuff. The next one we have here is the Clairvoyant Masher. Not really sure if you can get this in other elements, but I did find one in Cryo. It is Gamma Burst Annoyance, so I deal extra damage, of course. And this works similar to a Torg, except on crits, like a Jacobs. So when you crit an enemy with this gun, it would place stickies on them, and the stickies would explode, and those stickies can crit and ricochet as well, and it's very excellent. I would say so myself. The other Jacobs that I wanted to show is the Skull Masher. This is basically a sniper version of the Maggie, but more powerful. It doesn't fire as fast and has a lower magazine size, but it is more powerful. Usually I swap out the action skill and Maggie. The Skull Masher also is action skill and anointed. I usually swap them both out. One for if I want to get my action skill cooldown recharge faster, I would go with the Maggie. The other one is for finishing off enemies faster. I would definitely go with the Skull Masher, as it does way more damage. And like all Jacobs, I believe it ricochets bullets on crits. So the other weapons I have on reserve are mostly other weapons that I've been testing on. I haven't really had a feel for them at the moment, but they are Gamma Burst Anointed, of course. The Anarchy, if you're not familiar with, is a very excellent gun, and I just found that Gamma Bursted, and I'm really excited that I did that. But it's a very excellent weaponry. The others I'm just testing. I'm not really showcasing them per se. I do have an action skill lob that's corrosive and bonus cryo, and I use that honestly against armored units, because you might have a little bit of trouble against armored units from time to time. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but this is for a Mayhem 4. This is a Mayhem 4 build. It does function well in Mayhem 4. It would slaughter anything below Mayhem 4, I would say. Moving on, I did talk about the class mod right here. Very excellent. Gamma Burst is active. Flag Pet taunts. It draws in all the enemies. It does have some form of range to it, but the range is fairly wide. But it draws in all the enemies. All the enemies will go straight for your pet, trying to kill your pet. This is how you're surviving with this build, as all the focus is on your pet and not you, leaving you free reign to just wreck shit. Pardon my language there, but I'm just saying, just wreck shit all over the place, and then all that jazz. Like, it's very good. I really love it. I love this build. It's my favorite, and it's very fun. The next I'm going to showcase here is the shield. The Old God. It is DLC 2 alongside with DLC 2, meaning the number 2, not as well, but DLC 2 alongside with the Clairvoyant Smasher, the Unseen Threat, and the Skull Masher. You get them all in the DLC 2. The Old God is a new shield. I did get it anointed, but I'll get to that. The Old God has 4 bonuses applied here. I found the radiation one, and I'm glad I did. This increases your radiation damage, which is mostly what the build is about with Gamma Burst. Increases your radiation damage by 20%. You get resistance to radiation by 25%. It gave me movement speed while shield is depleted, and it gives me, whenever the shield is damaged, 15% chance to drop a booster that heals 8% of shields. Not really sure how useful that last one is, but at least you can make do with the third bonus. But essentially we're going for the extra radiation damage, and of course it is action skill and anointed with bonus 50% radiation damage with weapons for 10 seconds, giving me extra radiation damage. It's very excellent. Dealing more DPS, we're going to need that. Our grenade that I'm using is the generator transfusion longbow. The idea with this is I believe it heals the most out of all the grenades that I found. And you, after Gamma Burst is done, the enemies tend to aim for you. So you wanna, of course, like I said, you want to quickly get your action, the cooldown, get your action skill back up as fast as possible. But chances are you do need some heals to get there. So you're gonna spam these grenades, start healing yourself, shooting left and right, getting your action skill back, sustaining yourself. Yeah, get that sustenance, and that's the point. The good thing too, it's an action skill, and anoint, it gives me bonus percent of cryo damage, so extra damage is in fact very helpful. And the last but not least, my outdated, because I had this build, I was using this build at level 53. I do have an Atom Bomb auto idol. I picked the auto idol. It's hard to say. Atom Bomb auto idol. It just sounds weird to say. I picked this because when you kill an enemy, you gain health back, and I'd say it would help you survive more. The bonuses are very nice on this one, and I haven't really grinded out or found anything better than this. But the bonus is giving me more magazine size, so I can shoot more, of course, fire some more, gain some more DPS before reloading. It gives me an action skill cooldown rate. Like I said, you want to get your Gamma Burst out as often as possible, as fast as possible, as anything as possible. Just get it, and it gives me plus 9% movement speed. The Atom Bomb prefix, of course, need this for the extra. It boosts your radiation effectiveness. You get more, the aura, the radius of the aura, the burst damage of it just boosts radiation in general, and it's very, very excellent. And that's the build. I'm pretty sure I tackled everything. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I am on console. I'm a PS4. If you need help finding these weapons, gear, or any other, send me a message, just contact me. I'm more than happy to help out. I am active in the communities. I'm always finding certain weapons and trading and etc., and that's how I came across a good number of these weapons and stuff. But that's the build, and it works pretty good in Mayhem 4, I would say. Thanks for watching, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and the standard YouTube robotic stuff that people say, subscribe and stuff. Like I said, thanks for watching. Enjoy.